Nancy, Republicans are continuing to campaign on this memo. Is the Clinton camp concerned that this could be more damaging with voters than what we've seen in previous leaks?
Sure, especially if Donald Trump can take this argument and run with it. The notion that for the first time they're really seeing a very direct link between money that was going to the foundation and then money that was going to line Bill Clinton's pockets. You have this aide in these memos very clearly laying out the fact that he would go to people who had been longtime corporate donors to the foundation and say to them, hey, how about also hiring the former president to give speeches to your company, or maybe to consult with your company, perhaps to serve in an advisory role. Now, the Clinton Foundation would say that this is not that unusual, that Doug Band, the man who wrote this memo, served a very unorthodox role, as Band put it. He was both a chief officer at the foundation, and he was the top personal aide to the former president, responsible for arranging those speeches. What Republicans would say is that arrangement should never have existed in the first place, and it is simply another example of how the Clinton, both the Clinton members and Clinton world in general seems to have a difficult time drawing bright lines between private and public.
Yeah, well, Nancy, as you said, the Clinton campaign responded with blanket denial, pivoting to Russia, trying to influence the election. But top Republicans are accusing her of bringing pay-to-play politics to the White House, that's something they say is possible if she's elected. Does the campaign expect this denial, this response, to be enough until Election Day?
You know, I think we have to see what happens. Do voters start to pick up on this? Does it start to have an impact on the polling? I suspect that if we don't see any major changes in the polls, if we don't see any major changes in the way early voting is going in states like this one, North Carolina, you won't see a big change of strategy for the campaign. They're kind of hoping that this all just kind of gets, sucked into the vortex at this point, all the noise surrounding this election, and that voices like Michelle Obama's, who was here with Hillary Clinton today before a crowd of 11,000, will kind of drown all that out. And beyond that, they're also hoping that people have been hearing so much over the past 2 years about Hillary Clinton's emails and now WikiLeaks that they've sort of tuned it out, if you will, and aren't necessarily focused on, every new development. I can tell you that when I talk to voters, even voters who you would expect would be pro-Clinton, this is something that they often bring up. They say either that they believe that Hillary Clinton lies, or they believe that the Clintons have a different set of rules for themselves. So, in a sense, this kind of feeds in to an image that already exists.
Well, Nancy, on Thursday, Clinton campaigned in North Carolina with Michelle Obama for the first time as more polling places open in that state. Let's listen to a bit of that.
So she is absolutely ready to be commander-in-chief on day one. And yes, she happens to be a woman. If Hillary doesn't win this election, that will be on us. It will be because we did not stand with her. It will be because we did not vote for her. They are trying to get you to stay home. They are trying to convince you that your vote doesn't matter, that the outcome has already been determined and you shouldn't even bother making your voice heard. They are trying to take away your hope. And just for the record, in this country, the United States of America, the voters decide our elections. They've always decided. Voters decide who wins and who loses, period, end of story. Casting our vote is the ultimate way we go high when they go low. Voting is our high. That's how we go high. We vote. How do we go high? How do we go high? That's it.
Now, Clinton's press secretary, Brian Fallon, has called the First Lady their not-so-secret weapon. In these final days, Nancy, who is the campaign hoping Mrs. Obama's message resonates most with?
Oh, they're hoping that it resonates with women. They're hoping it resonates with young people. They're hoping it resonates with African-American voters who will be critical to a Clinton victory here in North Carolina. She simply cannot win in this state unless African-Americans turn out at the same rate that they did for President Obama 4 years ago when he lost this state and 8 years ago when he won this state. It's a very tricky state for Democrats. Right now, you've got a Republican governor, 2 Republican senators. The state is winnable for a Democrat, and campaign aides feel somewhat encouraged by what they're seeing in the early vote, but it is not going to be easy, and that is why they brought out, their biggest firepower, which is Michelle Obama, on the very day that early voting is really scaling up here in North Carolina, almost doubling the number of early voting polling places that they have here after a week of early voting. And so, they're really trying to make the biggest splash possible, because if they can win North Carolina, even if they don't win, say, Florida, they can still pretty easily block Donald Trump's ability to get to 270 electoral votes.
All right. Nancy Cordes. Nancy, thank you.
You're welcome.